And then just so we maximize people losing 3 life, we'll attack somebody else with this creature. And then just to say we attack everybody, everybody's gonna lose 3 life this turn. So we have a menace creature, and a flying menace creature. And then what's gonna happen is we're gonna go to our end step, right? And now, because 3 of our opponents lost life this turn, both of our Davros are gonna trigger. So I'm gonna make 1 Dalek off of 1 Davros, and then I'm gonna get another Dalek off of the other Davros, and each of those players now have 2 villainous choices to make. So they're all, I'm assuming, gonna choose to have me to draw cards. So because there's 3 people making that decision twice, I'm gonna draw 1, 2 from one person, 1, 2 from another person, and 1, 2 from another person. So when somebody purchases a commander deck, especially new players, I think most people would think that it's important for you to know how to play the commander deck. So the purpose of today's video is for us to play the Masters of Evil Precon, and while we're playing with the deck, I'll be able to demonstrate to you my thought process in playing the card so that people that are brand new to the game can learn how to play this commander deck and can experience success when you sit down at your own table to play some games. Keep in mind that if you're new to the channel, we do guides like this for every single pre-constructed commander deck that releases. So if there are other decks you're interested in learning about, you can find those videos on the channel. Also notice that we're doing this without any sleeves on the cards. I'm gonna recommend that you new players go ahead and purchase sleeves to protect your cards. I do not have sleeves at this moment, but keep in mind that if you purchase sleeves, it helps you to protect your investment. The commander of the deck that we're playing today is Davros, Dalek Creator. Davros has Menace, so our opponents need 2 creatures to block Davros. It says, at the beginning of your end step, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with Menace. If an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn, then each opponent who lost 3 or more life this turn makes a villainous choice. We are either going to draw a card or that player is going to discard a card. That is their decision to make if they have lost 3 life. That's the 3/3 token that you're making with Davros, just so you see it. So the whole purpose of the deck is just to make your opponents lose life so that we can potentially draw cards. And more than likely, we're going to be drawing a lot of cards. I'm just going to shuffle this so it's completely as natural as possible when it comes to what we draw into. I will say that when we're playing this, Davros costs 4 mana, so we want to get Davros into play as quickly as possible so that we can start to draw cards. It's always nice that when you have a commander that draws cards, and those commanders tend to be really powerful, and Davros' ability doesn't necessarily constrict him to any type of playstyle, so Davros really can be the commander of any deck, I think. So our opening hand, we have a Cult of Skaro, we have a Solemn Simulacrum, it's a good card. We have Vashta Narada, which is a decent creature that's indestructible to protect our life total. Auton Soldier, Temple of Deceit, Temple of Epiphany, and a Dragon Skull Summit. So 3 lands that are more than likely going to enter the battlefield tapped, unfortunately, but we do get a bunch of colors, which is nice. So we're going to keep this hand. We'll draw for turn. We're going to draw into Santaron General, which is a card that has a lot of words, so just to save time, we're not going to read that. We're just going to go ahead and start by playing the Temple of Epiphany. New players, this card says Scry 1. Scry 1 means we're going to look at the top card of our library. We see a Soul Ring here. Guys, when you see this card, keep this on the top when you scry, because I could either put this on the bottom or keep it on the top. We keep it on the top because we want to draw that card next turn. So we're going to pass to our turn. We're going to draw into that Soul Ring that we just saw a second ago. So we'll tap the Temple of Epiphany. We'll play the Soul Ring because this taps for 2 mana. Soul Ring is amazing. And then just to continue to do what we're doing, we're going to play the tap Temple of Deceit. And we're going to scry 1 again. And we have a Wayfarer's Bauble. Looking at our hand right now, I think that, you know, I want as much mana as possible. So Wayfarer's Bauble, we pay for 1, enters the battlefield, and we can tap 2 mana to put a basic land into play. New players, it's really important for us to, we're going to scribe this to the top, we'll keep that there. It's really important to get mana into play, because the more mana you have, the more you're able to do earlier on in the game and then later on in the game. So we're going to untap and then draw that Wayfarer's Bauble that we kept on the top when we scried. And now we have to play our tapped Dragon Skull Summit, because we don't have a swamp or a mountain in our hand. And then what we're going to do next is pay 1/2 mana from Soul Ring, 3, 4, and we'll play Solemn Simulacrum. And when this enters the battlefield, we're going to search our library for a basic land card, and we're going to put that into play. Is there an island? There we go. Okay, so we found the 1 island inside the entire command deck. We'll shuffle this. Okay, put this back on top. And now we put an extra land into play, which is nice. And then we will pass. We'll untap, and then we'll draw. So we'll draw into a Dalek Drone, which is a card that's going to let us destroy our opponent's creatures. So now, going into this turn, we don't have a land to play, which is unfortunate. What I will say is that we could play Davros here, but we don't really have a way to have our opponent lose 3 life. So what I'm gonna say is that I can pay 5 and I'll play a Dalek Drone, and you'll see why I'm doing this in a second. The Dalek Drone's gonna enter the battlefield, and we're just gonna destroy a creature an opponent controls. They're gonna lose 3 life. And then what we're gonna do is tap 1 and play that Wayfarer's Bauble, so we put this into play. So now we have the ability to put another land into play next turn, but we have 3 damage over here on the board right now. And the reason being is that when we pass the turn, let's say somebody attacks into us, we block with Solemn Simulacrum. When Solemn Simulacrum dies, we draw a card. So we'll draw into a Death in Heaven. Okay, so that's going to go to our hand. We'll untap and we'll draw for turn. And the reason why we played Dalek Drone that turn, we draw to a Canyon Slough, which is another tap land. So that's going to enter the battlefield tapped. And what we're going to do is play our commander. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll play Davros. And now that we've played Davros, what's going to happen is we'll go to combat. And we will attack with the Dalek Drone, which is a Flying Menace 3/3, which generally, that basically means he's unblockable in most situations. You have 3 opponents, so you're going to be able to hit somebody. You hit somebody for 3, and now somebody has lost 3 life this turn. So what's going to happen is we're going to go to our end step, we'll pass, and because somebody lost 3 life this turn, we're going to create a Dalek Drone. So now we get a 3/3 with Menace on our battlefield. And now that opponent that lost 3 life has to face a villainous choice. So they're either going to allow us to draw a card, or they're going to choose to discard a card. I think that they're generally, people are going to have you just draw a card. So we're going to draw, and we'll draw into a Drowned Catacombs, which is another land that's going to enter the battlefield tapped. Mind you, we still have the Soul Ring to tap here, but we just keep our mana available. When it goes back to our opportunity to be our turn, we're going to tell people. When our opponent tells us, all right, Kevin, it's your turn, I'm going to pass, I'll say, all right, I'm going to tap the Soul Ring for 2. I'm going to use that 2 mana to sacrifice the Wayfarer's Bauble, because that's what you need to pay 2 mana to sacrifice this. When I do that, I'm going to search my library for a basic land, which is going to be this mountain, because it's the first land that I saw. I'll have that enter the battlefield tapped. And then I'll conclude their turn, which means I will then untap with an extra land into play. And then I will draw for turn. We have a mountain. I'm just going to play that mountain. Alright, this is going to enter untapped because we control an island, which is nice, so we'll play that Drowned Catacomb. And now in this situation, and I'll play an Auton Soldier. So we're gonna play the Auton Soldier, and we're gonna make the Auton Soldier a copy of Davros. It says, when it enters the battlefield, make a copy of target creature, any creature on the battlefield, except it isn't legendary. So we have a non-legendary version of our commander on the battlefield. Now, what's going to happen is we'll attack again with the drone over here at one person, and then just so we maximize people losing 3 life, we'll attack somebody else with this creature, and then just to say we attack everybody, everybody's going to lose 3 life this turn. So we have a menace creature, and a flying menace creature. And then what's going to happen is we're going to go to our end step, right? And now, because 3 of our opponents lost life this turn, both of our Davroses are going to trigger. So I'm going to make 1 Dalek off of 1 Davros, and then I'm going to get another Dalek off of the other Davros, and each of those players now have 2 villainous choices to make. So they're all, I'm assuming, going to choose to have me to draw cards. So because there's 3 people making that decision twice, I'm going to draw 1, 2 from one person, 1, 2 from another person, and 1, 2 from another person. So I get to draw 6 cards out of that. The Dalek Emperor, which is exciting to see. We have a Blasphemous Act, which is a great card. Time Reaper, Ensnared by the Mara, Smoldering Marsh, and Temple of Malice. So all of that goes to our hand. Because we're only allowed to have 7 cards in hand, new players, we're gonna have to discard down to 7. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have to discard 4 cards. 1, 2, let's go with 3, and we'll keep 1 land. Time Reaper. Time Reaper will go away. And now that's generally how we want the deck to play, guys. So when we're playing this commander deck, we want to make sure that we are putting ourselves in a position where we're putting as much mana into play as possible, so that when we get to the point where we're here now, we have so much mana in the game on the battlefield as quickly as possible, so that I can just continue to play cards at a extremely high rate, so that, you know, I can play powerful things over and over again. But also keep in mind, like, what before I played Davros, I had something on the battlefield that was going to guarantee that somebody was going to lose life. More importantly, 3 life that turn. So in other words, what I'm saying is, if you do not have a method of making somebody lose 3 life on the turn that you plan on playing Davros, do not even play him. Wait till you get something in play that you say, all right, I'm going to deal 3 damage to someone with this card, so that means I can play Davros this turn and potentially get to draw a card, or potentially have my opponent discard a card, so that you can optimize Davros entering the battlefield. Because what may end up happening is, if you play Davros early, your opponent's just going to be like, all right, I'm going to play Davros, and your opponent's just going to say, all right, I'm going to destroy Davros. And now Davros is going to go back to the command zone. Because he dies, he's going to cost 2 more mana to play. So instead of costing 4 mana, he's going to cost 6 mana. And now it severely impairs your ability to draw cards. And you drawing cards is what's going to keep the engine of the deck flowing. So in other words, the moral of the story, have something on the battlefield that can deal 3 damage, so that when you play Davros, you draw a card on that turn. Every time Davros is on the battlefield, you should always be drawing cards. And if you can't, he should be staying in the command zone, and you should be figuring out a way to set up a turn for you to do that. And you will guaranteed win a lot of games with this deck. This actually went incredibly smoothly here. I'm kind of surprised at how well that played. This video's only gone on for 15 minutes. And I feel like we got a lot done in a short period of time, which usually means that we're talking about a commander deck that's pretty strong. So if you're playing this commander deck, congratulations, you purchased a pretty powerful commander deck. And if you like videos like this, you can like this video. Keep in mind that all of the other guides for the other commander decks, as well as commander decks that have released months ago, are on this channel, so that you guys can go ahead and learn as much as possible, so that you can make informed purchases with your money. Okay, I always say the same thing when I end these videos. Always remember, eat healthy, okay, work out every single day, and most importantly, you guys got to remember to believe in yourself. All right, peace out, people.